Hey guys, it's Brandon with Investment Joy. Today we're looking at this $20,000 house, and I'm going to let you guys decide whether it was a good choice or a bad choice. And we're going to break down all the finances, how I acquired the property, how I got the money for the property in this video today. So if you've never seen my channel before, I'd love for you to subscribe, but if you're a long-term subscriber, make sure you watch the whole video and like the video. So this house behind me is in a pretty okay neighborhood. This is what I affectionately refer to as a Gary deal property. If you've been with the channel much, you would see that I bought this property off an elderly gentleman named Gary. He had 32 rentals, gave them to his son to manage. It didn't work out very well. I ended up with this house in mid-2017. Long story short, I had to kick somebody nefarious that had been living in here out. And I went through this process of purchasing 24 rentals off Mr. Gary and rehabilitating a whole lot of them. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. The total acquisition price on it was a grand sum of $20,000. And we put in roughly $10,000 into the rehab of it. We'll go over those exact expenses in a little bit. But the outside of it's not too bad. It's a ranch one-story home. I had to put a new roof on it, and we did a little bit of work on the furnace, the hot water tank. But the best part of this house isn't so much the house, it's the fact that it's sitting on a little over 1/4 of an acre yard. It's about 1/3 of an acre, and the former tenants that lived in here that I just got it back off of, they grew a pretty nice sized garden in the giant fenced yard in the back, which is probably my favorite thing. Now, the issue with this house, or with the Gary properties, was that his son had mismanaged everything. At one point, his whole portfolio was worth about $1.2 million. And over the course of time, it lost value. If you've watched some of my other videos, I'm super big on local networking, talking to investors, getting involved in the community, learning to deal with people one-on-one and not just through the internet or the cell phone. Granted, those are great customer acquisition tools, but I had met Mr. Gary in person at a local real estate investors meeting where he brought an Excel spreadsheet with some rough costs and ideas on how much everything cost to buy in his portfolio, of which this was one of the houses. I looked at the properties back in 2016 and made him an offer of about $600,000 on all 32. Long story short, the offer was rejected, but I kind of kept in contact with Mr. Gary. And then mid-2017, he came back to me and I ended up purchasing, long story short, 24 of the 32 rentals, not for $600,000, but about $300,000. I spent practically every single penny that I had access to, or I personally had on that package. This was rental number, I think 53 or 54 in my portfolio, and I had absolutely no money to rehab it. So I did the thing that any solid investor would do. I called the landlord that evicted my family when I was 6, and I asked him if he would give me a loan, to which he obviously said yes. So I took a hard money loan out on this property in the portfolio, which I did not use any bank financing at the time. I just used hard money and cash that was on me, hard money being the landlord that kicked me out. I offered to pay him 14% interest for 6 months. These costs will be reflected on the spreadsheet that I'll be showing you later in the video when we go over the costs. It took me about over 6 months to get this rehab. The biggest problem was finding a crew that would do the roof. You'll see in a little bit they did a very poor job on the initial roof installation. I was trying to keep my costs at a minimum because I was always short on cash, and it kind of came back to bite me in the butt. Now there's some drywall damage in it, and that's how it is. But Real Estate Investment Association for the acquisition part. Hard money lending with my former landlord as for how did I get the cash to rehab the property. We just had our move out in this house for the first time since we rented it in May of 2018. So the tenant lived in here a little over 2 years, and we'll walk through and show you some of the features and the quirks with this, and you guys can decide whether I made money on this, because all of my expenses, both CapEx and regular ongoing maintenance, is included in the spreadsheet that we'll be going over. And then you guys can make a determination whether you should buy a house that's worth $20,000 or should you buy a house for $20,000. There's so many questions about these kinds of properties, and there's not too many YouTube videos that I see on them. So that is what it is. So like I said, we've had this place rented since May 2018. And as of today, and I'm going to scroll on the side of your screen, the actual profit and loss Excel spreadsheet. Since then, we've made $14,958 in total rent. That includes deposit that I would have taken back when the tenants moved out, the initial rent, and every single dollar that's come into this property since then. You can look at the expenses, but one of the big ones was the hard money loan early on. And you can make a decision whether you consider that CapEx or you consider that an ongoing cost. Do your own accounting however you want to, but let me assure you guys, if you want to be a real estate investor, you're going to have to learn how to use at least Excel or some sort of accounting level software. On this property, with all my other ones, we use enterprise level software called AppFolio. It helps me manage my 139 rentals. I sold one the other day. 139 rentals, and it keeps a tracking of all my accounting. But you have to do your part. That cost for the hard money loan in terms of interest, payoff, everything like that over the course of about 6 months that I had it was $2,871.92. I'd have to look through my records to see if there was a holdover on it, but I want to say it was a 6 to 9 month hard money loan with my old landlord from when I was 6 years old. Ongoing repairs for the property have been $1,579.85. If you remember, I just said that the roof was installed poorly. They unfortunately did not flash the chimney well enough. Knowing what I know now, I would have hired a guy. I've got a guy up where I live. He'll tear out a chimney for $150 because it's so hard to flash a chimney, and it was done totally wrong. And if you look behind me right now, there is drywall damage from where that leaked. Now, for better or worse, my maintenance crew was supposed to come in, cut out the drywall and plaster and redo it. It didn't happen, and now we're dealing with the problem as it has sat probably for 6 months to a year. So that's on me and them, and not on the people that lived here. But between that's our cost. We've paid almost $2,000 in taxes over a 2.5, 3 year period, which is really good on this house because it's very small. It's in a somewhat marginal neighborhood. And with that, the county gives us a discount for investors and these kinds of property. This is an old VA home where they came through in the 40s and early 50s and built these houses super, super cheap. A house like this could have been bought in the early 50s for between $7,000 and $12,000. So then on my capital expenditures, the initial rehab that we actually had with the property was $8,024.83. We also paid $515 worth of utilities as a holding expense. And what I mean by that is we had water, gas, and electric running in this place through the winter of 2017, early 2018 before it was occupied, trying to test utilities and everything like that. If you look at all those expenses, everything, we end up with a net income of negative $1,468 over a 2.5 year period. Now, if you want to do the numbers, and I'll post them on the screen over here, most of that expense, over $10,000, was in holding costs and the initial rehab. As of this moment, we've almost entirely recouped all the rehabilitation expenses. You might feel that the property is a little bit lower quality with the flooring in there, the flooring in the hallway, some of the cheaper add-ons that we did to get it habitable and livable, and then go ahead and rent it for $625 per month. But that whole cost has been essentially rehabbed. My ongoing expenses have been rehabbed, and now we're at a possible positive cash flow on it, excluding the $20,000 we purchased it for. If we would add back in the mortgage cost, which was in order to finance the property, and we would add back in most of or all of the CapEx expenses, we would end up with a net cash flow of $9,233.28. Now, that's almost a 30% return in 2.5 years, excluding appreciation, which on this specific house, we've gained probably another $15,000. Now, we're going to go look through the other rooms real quick, and you're going to see the condition that they've left this property in. You guys make the choice of how much do you think it's going to cost. We've got carpets in here that are stained. We've got some missing outlets. The place is kind of dirty. We've got some vinyl in the bathroom and the hallway that probably could use a replacement or get it fixed up. Now, I don't know what those costs will be right now, but I'm guessing maybe we'll have $1,000 to $1,500 on fixing this place up. But I can overdo it a little bit, and I have the option to sell it. I only have $30,000 in it at this point, excluding any cash that came in from the property. And the nice thing is this neighborhood has gone up in value tremendously since I bought the property. So I have three options here. I can rent it out for an increased rent price of about $675 per month. I could offer it as a land contract with between $7,500 and $10,000 down, and then take payments over the course of time for maybe $400 per month. The tenants would be responsible for taxes, insurance, and maintenance on the property, which those can be big killers for me. Or I could do a little bit better. Instead of $1,500 fixing it up, I probably could spend between $5,000 and $7,000 doing full renovation on here. I could replace the windows, I could spiffy up the kitchen and the bathroom just a little bit more than they are currently, and I could get between $70,000 and $80,000 in this neighborhood. Once again, we've got a full basement underneath. It's not great, but it's wonderful for storage, and we've got a wonderful backyard for this property. So all in all, I've told you the numbers for this property, but you can make a decision on as to whether this is a good deal or not. Do I feel like it's a good deal? Yeah. Am I upset at the kind of stains and stuff that the tenant's done? Sure. But overall, over the past 2.5 years since they've lived here, and now contrasting this property between it and some of my other rentals, the tenants left on pretty decent terms. I did not evict them. They went and bought a house. It was delayed due to coronavirus, and I want to say they missed a month and a half worth of rent. I told them since they were pretty decent people, we would let them eat the deposit down. They didn't get a deposit return, and they were left owing a little bit of rent, and I need to get the carpets cleaned and fix some of their problems. Once again, the roof issue is my fault, and there's some doors with damage on it. We will be reformatting the channel here very soon. I've got some really nice video equipment. We're going to do a live mentorship streaming where you can just kind of follow me around as I go about buying houses, dealing with my trailer park and laundromat. So check that out. We've got a sign-up sheet for it where you can get a notification via cell phone or SMS service, and also we'll be broadcasting that on Twitch and probably TikTok, which is kind of weird. So this is Brandon with Investment Joy, and make sure if you haven't signed up for WeBull yet, you can still get 2 free stocks, and two guys on our Discord have already got free Apple stock from them. Thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate every single one of you. It's my goal here to bring honesty and transparency to my YouTube channel so you guys can make a decision. Do you want to be in the kind of investments I am or not? You guys decide whether I'm making money or not. So thank you guys for watching.